Hello, everyone. I am Dan Stapleton with IGN, and with me today to play this multiplayer game of Civilization V are the lead designer, Mr. Ed Beach.
Hello, everyone.
And Dennis Shirk, the lead producer.
Howdy, all.
And the reviewer who handled the Civilization Brave New World review for IGN, Rob Zachney.
Hi, everybody.
All right, and we've just started a multiplayer game, and you guys, this is one of the first multiplayer games of Civ 5 I have played in a long time. Honestly, when it launched, it was in kind of bad shape. I was getting desyncs everywhere, but I guess it's you guys are confident enough to come on here and show off how it's going to go. So I'm betting you fixed it.
We sure hope so.
All right, so let's put it to the test. So I have started off as Brazil here. And I'm not going to tell you where I am because I don't even know. But we're in the we are in an advanced game. Tell us about the starting settings here that we've walked into.
I think we started up on a small map, 6 players, 12 city-states. It's got sparse resources on, quick speed, and the Renaissance start.
All right. So how this is kind of designed to show off. Kind of the late game aspect of it, which is really the big thing that everybody's excited about with Brave New World, and it's why Rob loved it so much, is that this really shows off the end game stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's what we're really hoping to be able to fit in here by having a later start to really just jump in right away to trade routes and get to the World Congress, things like that.
Yeah, I was up until 3 a.m. last night playing, just trying to rehearse a little bit here so you guys don't kick my ass too hard. And yeah, I was really getting immersed in the whole and all of the trade routes and everything, and finding just how much that changes the way you play, because it changes the economy dramatically.
Yeah, especially in multiplayer. We've got 3 civs that are kind of trade route dependent starting in multiplayer, and I was originally shying away from that. I'm like, trade routes in multiplayer usually equals death if you play with really aggressive humans, but I figured since you guys are, I'll go out on a limb and try Venice, even though that probably spells certain doom if one of you finds me early, but we'll see.
And so what are some of the big differences between single player and multiplayer here?
Between single player and multiplayer? Well, we're going to be playing simultaneous match this time. We do have some other modes as well, but I think mainly it's the personality of the people you're playing. You can count on certain behaviors when you're playing against AI players in single player. You can try to play a very civilized diplomatic game and can sometimes get the AI to play along with you depending how you act towards them. Humans are completely emotional, reactive opponents, and will usually do everything they can to kill you for spite if they know who you are.
I think the term you're looking for is jerks. People are jerks.
No, not jerks. Just mean. So just a completely different environment. So a lot of the peaceful tools don't always work, but we'll see. We'll see if this stays to be a civilized game or not.
And Rob, you gave this a 9.4 on IGN. Can you give us a quick rundown of what made you call this an amazing expansion?
Yeah, basically, there's things that, and I apologize if I'm taking a little time on my turn here because I really want to kick your guys' ass, and so I'm choosing my first building really carefully while I answer this question. There's things that have always sort of driven me crazy about Civilization, and really, it's the big problem for me has always been kind of the end game, where there was always sort of a tipping point where the only thing I was doing was just waiting to see whether I could bring my strategy to fruition or not. And I wasn't actually making any new decisions. I was just executing on a game plan that, I had made a long time ago. What I really love about Brave New World, maybe more than anything, is that it changes that inflection point in the game, pushes it much further down the road, much closer to the actual end of the game, so that you get a little more of, it's almost like a board gamey feel, where you get a little more of this last minute, race for the victory conditions, this sort of poker game, looking at the other players. What's he going to do? What's she going to try to pull off in the last minutes of this game? And so it just gives it kind of this great buzzer beater vibe that I think has really always been a weakness in not just Civ 5 vanilla, but actually going much farther back in the series.
Well, Robert, we're still waiting on you to make your turn here. It looks like. Take your sweet time.
Well, you were asking me a question that, involved the history of Civ and all sorts of good stuff. So
It's supposed to throw you off and make you make bad decisions so I can win.
You should just start clicking buttons. And
I just made a terrible
decision.
decision. Oh my god, I just lost the game. What have I done?
That's all right. I've got a horrible starting location as Venice, so this might not end well.
So at this point in Brave New World, what are some of the major differences that people should be aware of when they're starting in this period?
We're going to have we're going to get trade routes going pretty quickly here, but we're going to also have we're at the starting the Renaissance, so religion is still possible. It's the next era in the game where religion has been locked out. So we're going to have a battle here to who can found a religion first. We're also going to get to the World Congress as soon as somebody gets to printing press. So that'll be a little bit deeper in, but something to look out for. You might want to choose your teching path appropriately.
So that's a good inside track there. And
this printing press I have available to research right now. So there are two requirements to starting the World Congress. It's getting the printing press and being the first civilization to find everyone else in the game. And when you meet those two conditions, you get to be the host for the first World Congress, and you'll get an extra vote. So that's something that probably will be coming up pretty soon.
Can you tell us a little bit about the World Congress system? Because that's all new in Brave New World.
It is, and the biggest thing about the World Congress system is it lets you change the rules of the game up right in the middle of the action. So if you want to embargo luxuries, if you want to ban all trade with city-states, if you want to have a world competition where all sorts of cultural and tourist rewards are handed out to the people that contribute the most hammers to production of that, all those types of things are possible. Later in the game, you can actually get to ban nuclear weapons and some really far-ranging, powerful effects like that. The early World Congress, the city-states aren't yet involved in the voting scheme, so they get to sort of be brought online as we get a little bit further in. But you're going to want some city-state allies soon if you need to sway the World Congress votes your way.
And can you tell me a little bit about the some of those things you can put forth at the World Congress? I mean, like banning all trade with city states. I mean, that seems like you're just trying to stab the other players in the back. Why would they vote for that?
Well, if you have in a multiplayer setting, I actually haven't done a lot of World Congress in the multiplayer setting, so it's definitely going to, be an interesting experience. It's especially tough with all four of us talking online. It's hard to make secret backroom deals right now. But yeah,
what are some of the really good deals you can make on with the World Congress? Because that to me is like one of the really interesting new elements of this that really changes the late game and makes it about more than just taking over the world.
Standing army tax is one that's particularly effective in multiplayer.
And that's because you can basically get everybody to vote against the guy with the biggest army and make it really expensive for him to have a bigger army and kind of walk around and intimidate people, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you try to play bully in one of these games, there definitely are tools the other players have to keep you in check.
And do you find that an effective way of making it a good way to reverse the kind of snowball effect?
Yes, exactly. That's the goal. Is that we want the end game to be unpredictable. That whoever gets to the end game in the lead isn't necessarily the person that's going to win. That the other powers in the game are going to have the ability to bring them back to the pack, and then maybe someone else can emerge as the new leader. I'm
going to use a Super Mario Kart metaphor here, but that is it sounds like a blue shell. Just knocks the guy in the lead, and whoever's you don't want to be in first place because somebody's going to nail you.
Yep, and I play a ton of multiplayer board games, and boy, are those good at having all sorts of mechanisms where people gang up on the leader, and you don't want to emerge as a leader until you know that you can go all the way to victory.
My friend Rob Davio, who worked on, who designed Risk Legacy, if you played that.
I actually did play that for about a month at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But he was saying, the trick to most multiplayer strategy games is you want to be in second and convince everybody else you're in third, and that's where you want to be playing from.
Sounds just about right.
I know I've lost a couple rounds of that Game of Thrones board game to somebody who just came out of nowhere to win it.
That's a brutally hard game. I have not come close to mastering it.
Mastering it, I barely managed to play it. I won't go so far as to say I've mastered it, but what games would you say inspired some of the new changes in Brave New World, if any?
Well, definitely. I'm not sure if there's any one particular game, but there are a whole series of games that I've played, since college. Diplomacy is sort of the core of those games, where you can get up from the table and go off and have negotiations and then come back and make deals. The particularly brutal version of that I played some as well was a game called Machiavelli that took the diplomacy base, and then what it did is it added a level of secret deal making where you could actually bribe units right out from under the other player. We don't have that mechanism directly in Brave New World, but just that type of environment for setting up a multiplayer game where, people are targeting the leader, people are looking to swing the tables, is something that, I've done a lot of both playing of games, and I've also have 2 games set in the Renaissance, Here I Stand and Virgin Queen, that are very much that kind of secret negotiation game. And so that's sort of just kind of a natural gaming environment for me, and bringing some of that to the table for Civilization was one of the goals here. Right.
And so you were talking a little bit earlier about you having a really bad starting position as Venice. How much do you find in multiplayer games that it like everything is more or less determined by where you start?
Well, it certainly helps, depending how tight a game you're playing, or if you're on one of those really strictly balanced maps. You don't want to spend any extra turns looking for a better position. So it just really varies on what kind of game you're playing. And I'm exaggerating a little bit with Venice, but would have liked to have a little bit more space for food.
Oh man, I am being way too fussy about my second starting location here.
Yeah, I just kind of plopped it down. I'm more in the let's get this thing done kind of mode. I want to get off and running, and like I'm fairly gung ho about just placing stuff and then making the best of my situation, which is probably a really bad way to play this game actually, because I'm making early decisions, and those have a way of kind of compounding on themselves. But I do have some a fair amount of resources here and special resources that should I don't think I'm totally screwing myself over yet.
Somebody already took the one Pantheon belief I wanted.
So I'm curious, to hear from the Civ designers. Do you guys auto-manage your settlers, or do you micro the hell out of your cities? Your workers.
Workers. In a multiplayer game, I'll put them on auto, just because I want to, especially we usually play with a turn timer on.
Yeah.
And you want to get to their, you want to make sure that they're not left behind because you were busy doing something else. But in single player, I am much more, what I typically do is I run them by hand early in the game, and then as the game develops and we get further in, there's a point where I usually turn them on to be automated after that point.
Do you find that you can't really trust them early on to do what you want them to do if you put them on auto?
Just that I have real specific, I want this resource developed first, and then I want a road, and I just want to make sure that happens that way. It depends. If I'm testing a new feature real quickly and that's not involved, I'll happily put them to be automated at that kind of situation.
Like in Civ 4, I never used to automate my settlers, but Civ 5 has kind of spoiled me because I have found that like I can just automate them and have them go, and not really have to worry about it. Although I find that has made me soft and weak. So I've recently been trying to really learn the ins and outs again and figure out what's the what makes them tick and what's the best order to go in there, because like I realized at some point it's like, hey, I have no idea what my workers are doing, or why they're doing what they're doing, and maybe there's something they could be doing better. Do you have any tips for what you generally have your workers doing right off the bat?
Well, the algorithm we came up with for how the AI works for them is pretty much developed based on what our recommendations are. So it's always hook up resources first. It looks at whether or not you already have a copy of that resource. So it hooks up new resources. That's kind of top priority. Then it'll go for other resources. There's enough gold coming from connecting your cities up that I think it probably in most cases, connects cities up with roads before it starts just adding farms and mines and so forth around on tiles that don't have anything special going on with them. So that's sort of the high level plan for it. But then it also does look at proximity. It's not going to, we didn't want the workers racing back and forth across your empire. So they definitely are set up to prioritize anything that's nearby. And so it might break out of those kind of lists that I just gave if it can do something real near to where it's at and not have to race 4 or 5 turns away.
I've got to say, I've been prioritizing exploration here, and I haven't found a single ruin yet. This is blowing up in my face.
Ancient ruins are off in the Renaissance.
Oh, okay.
That's why I made sure nobody played as the Shoshone in this game, because they would have been hurting.
Now you tell me.
Yeah. But barbarians are definitely with us.
All right. Well, then maybe I should be getting some honor treaty stuff. Just in case.
It's also interesting because we do not have ocean navigation yet.
So I have an AI player right next to me. What difficulty level we got them set to? Should I be worried?
No, I think they're just on Prince, right?
Yeah.
I can handle a Prince.
Yeah, I have found that Napoleon is in our game somewhere nearby me, near enough to send a unit exploring nearby.
So is anyone ready to make any proclamations here about who they think's going to win? Are you feeling confident? Are you feeling like you're off to a bad start or good start?
I've got 2 humans blocking me in, and that's never a good thing.
Right. And I think I'm sort of off by myself, which may make for some interesting dynamics. I may have to come find you guys. I definitely seem to have Napoleon with me, but he's the only friend I've found so far.
What about you, Rob?
Oh, I'm not telling you a damn thing, because I found you. No, I've got a pretty good location. I'm debating now whether or not I want to go city crazy here, or whether I'm going to run lean. So it's the tall empire, wide empire question that I'm trying to answer for myself right now.
Let's just move those pikemen just a little bit closer to Rio de Janeiro, and I'll get rid of them for you.
Yeah, okay. I could. They can bring friends.
So why did we go with sparse resources for this?
That was a request from Dan.
Okay. I'm definitely noticing the effects, so it was probably a smart move on his part.
He wants us to play nicely and trade with each other. So.
Well, that wasn't my request. That was somebody over there, I think.
I'm not sure. Who did they
Was
get
it
that
Joe? Joe, maybe?
It
I
might
think
have
Joe
been.
probably did it.
Might have
Yeah.
been. We'll blame him.
I blame Joe.
Blame the PR guy.
Joe!
I like lots of resources. But no, the trading game is like the diplomacy in general has gotten a lot of kind of makeover in here. What are some kind of the highlights of that you guys like?
Well, I like that we fixed the one exploit that we kept reading about that people liked playing. We switched to gold per turn for just about anything unless you've got a declaration of friendship. That was
That's
nice.
right.
Not really something that affects the way that civs are acting to you, but it certainly took away some quick outs that people couldn't resist taking advantage of.
Sorry, so you made it so that that you require the declaration of friendship for certain deals, right? What does that limit?
Well, basically, what people could do is they could sell a resource for a lump of gold or something like that really early on, and then declare war, and it cancels the trade. You get your resource back, but you've got all their gold. And a lot of little exploits like that kind of went against the spirit of how we wanted it to actually work.
But also kind of in tune with reality.
Yeah.
Historically accurate.
Yeah, it was one of those changes that felt good right away because it increased the value of a declaration of friendship. I made that diplomatic pact more meaningful, and it felt historical, and at the same time we were closing up an exploit. So, once we came up with that as our plan, everyone got on board real quickly with it.
It's win-win. Let's see. Has anyone had any good skirmishes with barbarians yet? I finally found a few.
Just lost a pikeman to one, and I'm not happy about it. I thought I was about to take out this camp, and a new barbarian spawned in and wiped me out before I could.
Oh, I think I might be cleaning up your mess here, or taking advantage of your how you you soften them up for me. I always do like to play barbarian cop in single player games. How active do you guys find the Civ 5 multiplayer community is these days?
We actually don't track that. It certainly has more active games than it has before. Mainly, I think a lot of people are going in, trying out the new gameplay, trying out the new all the new systems we put in place. We're definitely a single-player focused game, but we'd like to continue adding these options and ramping that up because multiplayer is definitely one of those gems that a lot of people haven't had the time to discover.
Yeah, I find that you guys are definitely always one of the most active games on Steam. Yeah. But you can't tell if people are playing single player or multiplayer there, huh?
Not in that way, no.
And you just added the ability to play asynchronously, right?
Yep.
That's something that Civ 4 had that. Actually, it was through GameSpot. And I had a little bit of trouble getting that to work myself, ironically. Right. But I love the ability to do that. And so, can you tell us a little bit about how it's set up for Civ 5? Is it all through email?
Yeah, we have a few different options. We obviously have the roughed and play-by-mail version was the first iteration, but we've also got Pit Boss that we're kind of doing a broad community test with now. It's built into the app, but we have a standalone app that's getting ready for the fall patch that kind of lives outside of Steam. So you'll actually be able to play or put up this server somewhere in your house on a free computer and have some epic game that goes on for generations. But it'll alert you by email and by Steam alerts when it's your turn to take a game, or everybody can get in and play simultaneously for a while until everybody runs out of time and continue it later. It should add some good new options.
And do you guys have games going on in the office where you the asynchronous ones where you just have some going on for a long time and you just come to it when you're ready?
From time to time, but mainly for testing, not for epic ones. So we'll have it up for testing. We'll find a problem. We'll take it down, do some fixes, put up another one. But yeah, they try to run new games every Friday just to make sure that everything's cooperating like it should.
Do you have a guy in the office who consistently wins, or do you see it bounce around?
Yeah, but it's not who you'd expect. It's Carl back in QA, who's the currently bane of Firaxis in terms of how good he is with the game. Of course, he plays it literally 8 hours a day every day, but he's really really good.
Yeah, the QA guys people are always surprised that like designers and producers don't tend to be like super experts at their own game because they're not playing it constantly. They're working on it. But the QA guys.
We try
to,
but those guys know all the tricks of the trade in terms of just while you're playing, these are the best things to do. Not necessarily how much stuff costs, what might be the best to build. They just have a better feel for it while they're playing.
Right. But I just from my own experience playing against developers in multiplayer, like that, some are pretty good, but they're nothing compared to the guys that play it just nonstop.
Yeah,
like the fans just put the developers to shame a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm gonna beat you here because I'm clearly not. but
you took the pressure off of us, though. That was good.
The hardcore fans are to be feared. Is my point.
Yes.
They really know what they're doing, and like the QA guys are the hardest of the hardcore. Right.
Yeah, we've got a few of those guys as part of the Frankenstein test group, who only play Deity, and definitely good in terms of having a nice barometer check on if things are staying nice and balanced in terms of difficulty as it ramps up, things like that.
I don't think I've ever won a Deity game.
No?
No, I'm not.
You should watch more of Mad Jin's new tutorials.
I probably should, yes. Because I have much to learn. Yeah, starting at this point in the game, you get just a ton of different wonders available to you to go for, and that opens up a lot of options.
Yeah.
Not sure what to go for first. I'm sure if I start building one now, you guys will probably build it all before I finish, huh?
No one's built a wonder yet.
Not likely.
Let's see.
Rio, why are your horses on fire? What's going on there?
Oh, Barbarian did that.
Yeah.
My worker is elsewhere, otherwise occupied. Barbarians just like to run around setting things on fire. Some people just like to watch the horses burn.
Oh, look at good guy Dan Stapleton clearing out barbarian nests in my own territory.
Yeah, I'm taking the gold. Probably shouldn't have done that right there. I attacked a barbarian and left my pikeman kind of weak. Actually, Rob, can we agree that we should both attack this barbarian so neither of us die?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got this guy.
All right, I'll soften him up. Looks like he's
got like one
but
hit
only
point
barely.
left. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll survive that. See, the spirit of cooperation has already taken off.
So, question for everyone: how many trade units have you all built?
How many what?
So far I don't have any.
3.
Yeah. See it. I'm just getting going on those, and I'm hurting economically. But
See, I never do the accelerated start. I never start mid game, so I immediately blundered headfirst into some major unhappiness problems and economic problems, and so I've sorted that out. But I definitely strangled myself a little bit right at the start.
Yeah, I'm definitely a bit hamstrung here. Ooh, that wasn't a good idea. Okay, I'm constantly making bad decisions, as it turns out. But yeah, I haven't really dived into trade yet because like Rob said, I don't usually play start from this point.
Well, little tip: if you're hemorrhaging gold per turn, get the cargo ships out. You'll be much better shape real quickly.
I'm doing okay with money. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm running a profitable operation at this point, but I'm not Not yeah, I've got a little bit of money in the bank. Killing barbarians, it fills the coffers. Because usually early on I kind of depend on scouting out and finding some ruins and getting a little bit of gold that way.
Yep, and that's kind of turned off for us here. So.
Oh yeah, I have a spy.
Oh right, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, I'm used to the stuff just being gradually introduced, and having it all on my plate at once here is a whole different experience. Let's see.
Oh my God, why can't you people just be happy?
Yeah, has the happiness system seen any revisions in Brave New World?
It's quite a bit, and you'll notice it extensively in single-player games. That was one of the areas where, as difficulty levels ramped up and you played against the harder and harder opponents, the AI got really, really large bonuses in terms of extra happiness. And we rebalanced the happiness system entirely because of the way the new ideologies work. When you exert a lot of ideological pressure with your culture, what happens is the other civilizations in the game will want to, their people will want to adopt your freedom or order or whatever culture, and the demand for that autocracy will mean that they'll cause unrest in your nation and start producing, it can be 10, 20, 30 unhappiness. So we had to sort of rebalance the whole happiness situation. We had to take away those big bonuses from the AI and move them into other types of things that the AI gets a little bit of help at those harder difficulties at. I think sort of the core happiness system, where it comes from and the resources and buildings and so forth, that's all stayed the same. But definitely there was lots and lots of work done in the specifics and on rebalancing it kind of bit by bit.
I do find like the happiness can get frustrating when somebody kind of kicks the legs out from under you. Last night I had a neighboring civilization get kind of mad at me for trying to convert all of his cities to my religion, and so he invaded and came in and I had like 5 different fisheries where I was getting crab from. And my people were very happy about that crab apparently, because when it went away, there were some major problems there, and like all of a sudden all my troops were fighting at 60% effectiveness, and it was just a real bad time there until I got that happiness back.
Yeah, that's the other thing that we did is we made sure that their penalties for being unhappy were more severe. We wanted, if ideological pressure was going to be meaningful, what we had to do was make sure that anytime you started going below 0 happiness, you sort of felt the effects of that, both in terms of the productivity of your citizens and the effectiveness of your military units. And so that's, hey, I found another player. Look at that. I think that must be Rob.
So how does the pressure
there.
system work? That's something that's fairly new, isn't it? I can't remember that being
that
in
was
Gods
in Gods and Kings.
Oh, was it?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, the religious pressure was, but I think what I've been talking about most recently is the cultural pressure you get from spreading your tourism to the other nations of the world. And
right.
There's a series of different levels of cultural pressure. It starts out that they haven't even heard of you and your culture's unknown in their civilization. Then it becomes exotic and popular and moves up to influential. And as it goes through those different levels, if you're at a higher level in terms of your pressure on them than they are back at you, then that's going to be like one element of their people wanting your ideology. And it looks at that kind of pressure from all the other civilizations in the game and sort of comes up with an aggregate feeling for your populace as to whether or not they want to switch ideologies right now or not.
And I think I'm about to get some trade off the ground here. That's an excellent point. I was just talking about how like yesterday or my game last night was so dependent on trade, and then I foolishly did not go straight for it in this one. Because I always have kind of a I don't know if it's a good habit or a bad habit of just trying to build up my infrastructure before I really deal with everything around it. But that's kind of putting the cart before the horse, I suppose. And that especially with trade, as important as it is now, even beyond the hey, can I have some extra luxury resources? It's a much more important part of the game at this point.
And if I could point one thing out, I turned on the scoreboard, which is available as one of the user interface options.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got different game scores for all of us here on the right-hand side of my screen.
Yeah,
and
I see that
one
too.
thing I'd like to point out is that the 2 AI players are kicking our butt. Because
that is true.
They are 1 and 2, and we're in 3, 4, 5, and 6 here.
We're playing the long game.
Yeah, I noticed that they built, at least one of them built a wonder, and wonders give you lots of points on the scoreboard, so...
It's a fairly tight spread, well, except for who's that? The Indonesians.
Yeah.
They are. Oh, good. They're right next to me. But I don't know. I find the score to be oftentimes a little bit misleading. Like it can be, like you said, it can be a wonder that doesn't necessarily make them significantly more powerful. Like if it were to come down to a fight, it's like, yeah, I could probably still take them.
If you got points for rationalizing, Dan would be in the lead.
I'm also excellent at excuses.
The bad thing is if we run out of time, the AI is going to be the one that wins the match. Just
That's
for
true.
Points. You should probably invade now.
Does this? What's our time limit on this game? Or our turn limit?
It's bloody.
Yeah, until it gets bloody, or somebody walks into our office and says "Get back to work." One of the two.
Does Sid come around and check on you guys?
Oh, we usually check in with him because he's most likely sitting in front of his computer working on a prototype or something at any given moment.
Let's see.
Oh,
Right.
silly barbarians!
Trade time. Got myself some caravans. I've got more of a landlocked civilization here, though I've got lots of rivers. But rivers don't do much for trade, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they provide you with a bonus.
You'll see when you send your first trade unit out from a city along a river that there's a multiplier to the gold you're going to receive.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected.
We took out all the gold that you got automatically from settling along a city or along a river or on a coast, but we put incentives back into the trade system so that it really was just as valuable to go for a city location like that.
Are you guys able to see, based on achievements or anything, how people are playing? Are you are they playing more passively than they used to in Vanilla and Gods and Kings, where they're in those versions it seemed more geared towards an aggressive style of play. Like last night, I was trying to play without ever invading anybody. I was defending myself, but I wasn't going on sprees of conquest. And I felt it was still, I was having a good time, trying to figure out all the new culture stuff, all the new kind of trading card game we got built in there. Are you finding people are playing that more, or are able to tell?
We see a wide variety of play styles coming through just based on achievements being earned. We have seen on the forums a little bit more peaceful early game play than what people are used to, just because of some AI tweaks that Ed made. Makes it a little bit more thoughtful about rushing into war.
Did you reel Gandhi in a little bit?
We never wheel Gandhi in.
He's uncontrollable.
Gandhi will be Gandhi.
Yeah, is that something that you guys do on purpose at this point? To, make him kind of an aggressive player, or is that just
He's
something?
not
that
an
the AI
aggressive player, though. It's only later in the game when certain technologies come under his control.
Certain technologies.
Certain technologies. We won't discuss the specifics, but
Gandhi with an iPhone. Gotta watch out for that. But yeah, he does have a bit of a reputation in the civilization community.
Yeah, I think it's just because of the irony
cognitive
behind
dissonance.
his activities.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one ever expects Gandhi to go
To
on
be
a
history's
on a
greatest
rampage.
monster.
Yeah, it's like when Genghis Khan does. It's like I kind of saw that coming, but Gandhi, yeah, like no matter how many times I see it, still kind of surprised when Gandhi invades me.
Oh, there is a worker out in the middle of nowhere. Should I make that mine? I don't know. He's stirring things up too much.
So, are you guys more of the big empires or small groups of really big cities kind of players?
I'm a tall player, typically.
Sorry, carry on.
yeah, I try to push in all different directions depending on which civ I'm playing, trying to make sure I get a feel for
Oof.
the
Barbarians
strength
just
ones.
grabs
So,
the trade route.
I try to vary my playstyle a little bit every game.
Yeah, the barbarians got my trade route, but because they're jerks. This is why I go on crusades against barbarians.
It can be a real hassle with the trade routes. So the level of discourse we've had about people saying that, wow, you must have totally changed the barbarians. They're just so much stronger than they were before. When we actually did not change them beyond giving them access to some new units. But we really didn't change their spawn rates or anything like that. And the perception of the community is that we went nuts by turning up the barbarians.
No, they're just
When that
relevant
actually
now.
it's exactly it.
They've got more stuff to attack than they ever did before.
Right, and they hurt you in painful ways.
Well, I mean, this is one of my favorite things about Brave New World. It's just it was so easy in so many other civs, just sort of chill within your territory, and unless you were fighting war with someone, you didn't really need to worry about like projecting power around the world because there was no incentive to do that. But now, when you've got so many trade routes going everywhere, and there's so many pockets of barbarians, suddenly your ability to deliver a couple warships and some assault troops to a location halfway around the world, suddenly that can be crucially important, and it just adds this whole new dynamic where perhaps appropriately for a Civ game, I'm thinking globally as opposed to locally.
And that was something we were definitely going for. We wanted to make sure people just could not stop interacting with the other players and with things that were actually out there on the map. And the more new mechanics we could put in that encourage that, we knew that the better off we'd be.
Now, I've just turned on the trade route view on my map so that I can see where I need to protect. Because before, and even last night I was messing. I would just send them off wherever, without really thinking about where I have to defend. And in that case, I had a neighboring civilization right next to me, with no like big patch where the barbarians could get at them, so it wasn't a big problem. But here, I'm gonna have to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, I actually always play with that setting on, just because.
Turns out to be a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, dead end.
But thanks to the barbarians messing with me, I still only have one active trade route. But got more on the way.
Barbarians? Or trade routes?
Both.
I think I know where they came from.
Oh, you doing your Great Admiral Scout.
Yep. And
Let's
I
see.
found your bought-out city-state. Those people of Byblos could be bought for a tidy sum.
Oh, yeah. not big on production.
Yeah, I do find that now that there's so much more money flowing around because of trade, like it's much easier to deal with city states, because like before I just didn't feel like I had nearly as much gold potential as I do now. So I was always kind of stingy about bribing them. Anyway, I would get patronage to make that easier, but now I feel like I can still kind of compete in the city-state arena without getting patronage.
Yeah, that's definitely an option. There is more gold in the game, especially in the later game. But in terms of city-states, we think that is balanced out nicely because even though you have a lot more money to spend on city-states, everybody else does as well. So you have, in general, a lot more money flowing around as a result.
Wow, who took the cathedrals? My favorite religious building is gone.
I'm going to have to call a ambulance for Ed.
Let's see.
Oh my god, this is embarrassing.
I was sending a trade route like way up north, straight through barbarian territory, and then wondering, why did it get killed? I think I'll play it a little safer.
So, Morocco does well with deserts, and I can't help but notice I started around some deserts. Is that something that you've sort of tuned, where if you play a certain civilization that maybe prefers a certain type of geography, is there a starting bias toward locations that you'll find favorable?
There absolutely is, and since we had to add a bunch of starting biases for Morocco and Brazil, we actually, when we put out Brave New World, we actually found a few civilizations that we hadn't set the bias quite as strongly as we wanted to. So for instance, the Byzantines that have a naval unique unit didn't used to have a coastal bias until Brave New World came out. So that's definitely something we have in the game, and just got kind of rebalanced and retuned a bit.
And which of the new civilizations do you guys find the most interesting personally for your play styles?
I am finding that Portugal is very good for a Renaissance start. I'm pretty happy with how I'm progressing right now. The nice thing about them is that both of their unique units unlock right about this time that we started at. So,
and what do those do?
There's a naval exploration unit that replaces the caravel called the Now, and I just sent one to Rob's capital and got about 500 gold for the trade mission, so that was successful. And then the other thing that I just finished researching, I haven't built any of these, is they have an improvement that you can take a worker over to a city-state, build that improvement on top of a tile, and kind of steal a copy of that luxury out from underneath the city-state. Unfortunately, I don't have many city-states real close to me. I've found a few with luxuries, but they're like across the map, so I don't know. That one's going to be a little harder for me to use, but definitely this is sort of their favorite part of the game. So
I have a feeling we're going to be discovering some island chains that have a lot of the city-states floating around out in the ether.
And what about Morocco?
That's usually my go-to civ, is playing Morocco, just because of the advantage they have with the deserts and with the trade routes, the plus cultures, and the plus benefits for your opponents too. It just makes it less tempting for people to want to go to war with you in general. Good for a builder. I'm playing Venice today just because I wanted to try out Venice in multiplayer, which is definitely going to be a little more challenging, but should be interesting.
And what does Venice have going for it?
Well, if you have the time to get set up properly, you can generate a lot of money. They've got double the trade routes of everybody else. So they can create their merchants of Venice, go out and outright buy city-states, and you can make purchases in those city-states, whether it's units or buildings. So you field your armies and your buildings and your everything that you want by just buying it, except in the capital. The capital, obviously, you can still build stuff in, but you're buying it outright everywhere else. So it makes for definitely an interesting play style.
and very dependent on city-states.
City-states helps. Cooperative, peaceful neighbors helps out also as well.
So let's give Dennis a hard time.
And if they're not cooperative, you just buy them, right?
Right.
Throw money at the problem.
Throw money at the problem. That's the Venice solution, yes.
Dennis is lucky I started entirely across the map from him.
Oh, I know. Ed would be eyeing up my property like a side of beef right now otherwise.
The QA group still owes me one because I took an Assyrian siege tower and knocked one of their players out in 16 turns in one of our recent multiplayer games, and they've been trying to get me to sign up to play against them again. And I keep being too busy to be able to do that.
Take that
Got to
victory and
retire
run.
while you're on top, huh?
Yeah, so eventually they're going to get me, but for right now I'm sort of enjoying having one up on them.
You're just able to crank out an early unit and surprise
I actually
them.
had a scout that got upgraded. There was a warrior that got upgraded by a goody hut into a Assyrian siege tower. And so I took it and a scout down to Venice. It was actually someone playing Venice, and I was able to take them out just barely. Because like both units had no health left, but the city went down just on that last turn. And and it was only turn 16, so they were very, very not happy about that.
And no wonder you turned off the goody huts for this one. So how do luxury trades work in multiplayer?
You can just go over to the diplomacy button in the upper right corner, the globe with the laurel leaves.
Oh, here we go. I think I figured it out.
Yeah, and it's pretty similar to the single player.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a little bit slimmed down just to
just
keep
to not take
one game
a lot of
game.
screen real estate.
Anything where a pop-up comes up and takes over the screen is potentially detrimental in multiplayer in terms of taking you away from what you're looking at, potential griefing by keeping the pop-up open like the later scene, things like that. So we try to keep things as minimized as possible.
Now, for the asynchronous mode, do you have that? Are you still able to do like combat animations and things like that?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
All right, the World Congress just got founded because I finally found the last civilization.
Woot.
So, what do we want as our first resolution?
Oh boy. Do not like where this is headed.
Problem is I have to get you guys to vote for it. I get 2 votes, but everyone else in the game has 1, and so...
It's tough but fair.
Yeah, I need to do something that maybe everyone will like a little bit.
Yeah, my people are finally happy a little bit. Damn whiners.
This will be interesting. Let's go with this one. All right.
World's Fair out of the gate. Bam.
And what does the World's Fair do?
It is one of the international competitions, and while the World's Fair is running, you have the option to take each of your cities and have them on World Fair production rather than on regular unit or building production. And when they that runs for, there's a certain amount of production that has to be put into the World's Fair before it's complete. And when you hit that level, it evaluates who contributed the most, who contributed second most, and so forth. And there's like a gold, silver, and bronze level of awards that are given out. And the awards that can be given out are very, very strong. They're things like free social policies, bonus to culture as if you're in a golden age for a certain number of turns, that kind of thing. So it's often well worth investing in, but in a multiplayer situation, it's very interesting to try to outguess the other players as to who's putting what in for it. And there are 3 such competitions. The other one is the International Games, which is basically like the Olympics, and that is not as culture-focused. It's more tourism-focused. And then the third one, which comes latest in the game, is the International Space Station, and that's all about whoever wins that gets lots and lots of science output.
And I'm guessing you weren't able to call it the Olympics because of copyright there, or trademark?
Yep.
Which is kind of interesting because the Olympics, like, I mean, that's
like the ancient
like a
Greeks
historical
came up
thing.
with that, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think copyright law really is the best manifestation of the international spirit of cooperation and openness. And I think it's only fair that nothing to do with the Olympics can be touched with a 10-foot pole unless you've got the right branding rights.
It does seem like kind of a silly thing. It's like trademarking Christmas to some extent.
No, automated workers, what are you doing? Oh, God, you jerks.
Are they
you are off
overwriting-
automation.
Are they overwriting one of your improvements?
Well, I took them over to a city that needs some improvements, and I was like, hey, okay, now just automate, do some stuff. And they appear to be beelining all the way back to my capital, which is not really what I had in mind for them. So I'm going to have to drag them back. And,
Is there something that you forgot to improve near your capital or something?
Yeah, but there's already a worker over there going through, like, getting everything, and there's, like, important good stuff, like, right by this other city that they should be dealing with. So I'm gonna have a little word with the foreman.
So yeah, I'm trying to decide what to name my religion. That's always fun. Let's call it. I'm just gonna call it lies. I want to spread lies. So if somebody comes and spreads lies to your whoops, I messed up. If somebody comes and spreads lies to your cities, that's me. Got to actually pick what I wanted it to do for me.
That's the important part.
I'm gonna have them make people happy because lies. I mean, if nothing else, they're little white lies. Yeah, it's a long time-honored tradition of putting goofy stuff into custom naming systems so that you make it say embarrassing things. I think the first one I made was called herpes, but yeah.
Oh God.
The World Congress can also be renamed, so if you get control of it, watch out. We're going to be in trouble.
Brofest 2000.
I did not know you could rename that. That's good to know. All right.
Wait, why
I
can't
got to retreat my anti-barbarian force. They're kind of worn down. Let's see. I haven't really had any time to build up a significant military yet. Have you guys? But well, I guess you're not going to tell me that, are you?
Yeah, that's highly
Got a
confidential.
huge military, just huge.
Yes, my hordes of soldiers are preparing for the final assault. Yeah.
Do things and stuff.
No, Dan, it's ironic you haven't built a military, because, I mean, I definitely haven't built a military, and I think it's great that we're neighbors and neither of us has a military, so...
We have our starting units, but...
Yeah, and nothing in addition to that, so don't even worry.
It's nothing like being horribly naive. It's very relaxing, I find. That's no good. The barbarians are coming after my wounded soldiers through with archers. Oh, fortunately they can't see me through this forest, so I might actually escape. That was lucky. Let's see. But I mean, the whole way that the city combat is set up is very defensive friendly, and you can still basically screw somebody over, even if you aren't able to take their cities just by pillaging all their good resources and setting them back a long time, or taking out their trade. Now they're more vulnerable than ever.
Yeah, we made a change last summer where pillaging resources actually heals the unit that is doing the pillaging, and that also has just sort of increased the level of destruction and smoke that you see around cities when armies come into the area.
I actually did not know that. That's I'm
Yeah,
learning all kinds of cool things by playing with you guys.
A nice pro tip is sometimes you can heal your guy who looks like he's about done and about to die, and you can just heal him right up from pillaging. And I've seen actually guys be able to heal up from pillaging and then take the city when they wouldn't have normally been able to. So there are a lot of nice little cool moves like that you can make.
Yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense. They're stealing all the food and everything from the land, and
yep, it's like Sherman marching to the sea in the Civil War. The living off the land, that kind of stuff.
And making sure nothing will ever grow there again.
It's 25 hit points, so it's not like a crazy, they're not like fully healed by it, but it's enough to definitely
Makes
help
a difference.
out. Yep.
Let's see here. Always torn between whether to start a new city, but I guess now I've got a significant amount of happiness here, which I guess is from my religion mostly. I was just like barely happy for a while there, but now, well, I guess I must have gotten a couple extra resources all of a sudden that my auto workers tapped for me. So now I've got a surplus of happiness, so I can safely expand, huh?
Yep.
Might be a pretty good time to do that.
Huh.
All right. This game just makes me want to do everything at once, so I generally end up pretty scatterbrained about it.
It's really bad with these late starts, I find.
Yeah, I am having a real hard.
Everything is open at once, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want this and this and this.
Yeah, I'm not like. It's like going to the grocery store when you're hungry.
Yeah.
It's like I'm looking at my strategy, quote unquote, and it's not. It's just like, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, I'll do that. A little bit of that, a little bit of that. That's how Civ works, right? It's all about spreading yourself thin.
Yeah,
and not building a military.
Back to your capital to try to choose what to pick. Something else shiny has caught your eye, and there's no coherency from one time to the next.
Spur of the moment decisions. That's what great leadership is all about.
Whoa. Ooh.
Yeah, we definitely haven't had as much military action in this game as you would expect from a previous version of Civ 5.
It's because this is a polite, civilized game.
Yeah.
It's not filled with barbarians.
Plus, no one let me play Assyria with their siege towers.
Yeah, if we were starting up in the ancient era, we were already plotting like I was going to be Shoshone, he was going to take Assyria. It was all going to be the big early game rush. It would have been brutal. Renaissance, many more options to play with.
I do notice that I am slowly climbing up the score ladder. So doing all right.
We've got Napoleon boxed in now, so he's not up on the top anymore.
There we go. I actually haven't met Napoleon face to face at this point, I guess because he's boxed in.
Yeah, he's over on my neck of the woods here.
Let's see. Well, you can have him.
He hasn't caused any trouble yet, but I probably should keep a closer eye on it.
Yeah, I haven't really heard much about out of my AI buddies yet either. We're peacefully coexisting. The barbarians, not so much, but yeah. So I still haven't gotten to really the end game yet, and of Brave New World. I still haven't gotten to build an XCOM squad.
Those guys are awesome. When I am testing the game and I need somebody to like take down a city just for a quick test run to make sure something's working, there's nobody that can do it faster than those guys. The amazing thing is they pair drop all the way across the map. So
You need a Sky Ranger.
yeah, so they just come flying. They have a 40 hex range. It's not unlimited, but often, especially if you're on a smaller map, that's pretty much most of the map, and very, very useful.
And there are no aliens for them to fight, though. Just
that would be fun now, wouldn't it?
Just humans.
Telling you guys, the world's ready for an Alpha Centauri sequel.
Hint, hint, nudge, wink.
Spiritual successor, unless you can get the guys at EA to sign off on that. Which, yeah, that's gonna happen.
Wow.
You do Beta Centauri?
I see why Napoleon's having trouble here. He actually has one of his cities that's taking damage from barbarians. I have to be careful about that part of the world here. Obviously, it's barbarian infested.
Yeah, I went exploring, and it's like walking into an ice storm. It's just like lean forward into the barbarians. I've got a great general, though, and he's helping carve a swath, but...
Anytime barbarians give me trouble, I just go with the honor tree and just clean them up and profit greatly and level up my troops.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the honor tree is almost like mandatory at this point, especially with how much barbarian fighting you're doing, at this point in the game. I don't know, does that raise any flags? Because, I've never gone a game at this point where I'm not grabbing the honor tree. Does that raise any red flags for you guys as designers when something sort of stops being necessarily a major choice and sort of becomes an automatic move?
Well, actually, I'm happy to hear that, because on the forums, especially Civ Fanatics, they like having piety open for the beginning, which was one of the changes we made for Brave New World. But they're convinced that tradition and liberty are the way to go to begin with, and they look at honor as sort of a situational tree, that it's not an automatic pick. So the fact that people like you feel like it's an automatic pick, that's great, because it means we've got a nice little divergence of opinions on that one.
I'm always stunned whenever you tell me about like what the current thinking is over on the Civ the Civ Fanatics forums and everything. Like I'm always like, wait, they think what? They play it that way? What?
Well, and in a multiplayer game like this, honors is to me much more important to be thinking about going for. That was part of how I won with the Assyrians that time and took out that city early. Was every policy I had, I was investing in honor in that game. So that's sort of the thing I like about the way the policy trees are set up right now. It's situational. The other tree they rag on as not being strong is exploration. And in this game, playing as Portugal and knowing that we were split on two continents and knowing that World Congress was coming up soon, that was actually what I went for right now. And that's how I got my great admiral out to meet everybody. And so it all depends which way you're playing through.
Yeah, I do find honor to be a very like you said, situational pick. Because if you're on an island with no barbarians, it's useless basically. Unless you're going to really go out and be aggressive and find some. So I stick mostly to my to honor or tradition as my first pick.
Well, I take all my civilization tips from Fiddler on the Roof, so tradition all the way for me.
Yeah, in this case, I did mostly tradition, and I've gone a little bit honor. I got my great general from there, um, and using him to clean up this rabble. Yeah, and now I'm finding my economies are basically like trade dependent at this point. Like if I don't have trade going, I'm not making any money at all, um, which is a big change from previous versions, and it really discourages you from going to war with your immediate neighbors, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I just had a trade route plundered by the nasty barbarians, so I'm not happy about that. Guess the
And like
barbarians do have a good naval presence too.
if I capture your trade route, do I get money from that as well as disrupting your trade?
Yes.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, you plunder it, take their stuff, and kill them. It's not a friendly thing.
It's interesting that I like the mechanic where like I can't directly control these trade units because it gives the feeling that they're not like government controlled units. Like it's saying I'm opening this trade route, but this is like private trade happening on the trade route that I've opened.
That's how we pictured it. It's kind of like just you contracted some civilians to do the job, and they're just going to go and do their thing, and you can do your best to protect them. But you can't always protect them. They'll come back from time to time and ask if you have any new orders.
Oh, why did you guys go with the system like for that and for oops, crap, I just did the wrong thing. For that and for trade of resources where it's like a 30 turn agreement that you have to renew every 30 turns. Like sometimes I like that and sometimes it's kind of annoying. Like why did you decide to just not let me do just like an indefinite one until it breaks or until one side wants?
Yeah, the one thing I really disliked in some of the earlier Civ titles was any system where you ended up having to check back on it every turn. There were things like map trading that used to be in the game where every turn your scouts would pick up a little bit more intelligence. So you'd actually be able to take your maps back out to the other players and trade them for just 5 or 10 extra gold. But if you needed that gold, then there was an incentive to go back in every turn and reopen diplomacy with every player and see whether you could get a little bit more from your map. There's the same sort of thing with tech trading, where as soon as you researched a new technology, you had to immediately go swap it with everyone in the world. And all that kind of turn-by-turn micromanagement is something we've been trying real hard to kill in Civ 5. And trade routes were going to be one of those systems where that kind of problem could have easily existed, and we wanted to make sure it didn't. So we made the conscious decision that you were going to have chances to make choices on this, but especially when you get later in the game and you have up to 8 trade units, we knew that you're going to get frequent enough decisions about it, even on the every 30 turn interval, that was going to work out fine.
I know the like every time I post a story about a new Civ expansion or patch or anything, there's always some guy in there that comments like, "Is tech trading back? No, then I won't play." So some people like really want tech trading, but you guys are pretty steadfast against it. I find like it. I think overall I like the decision to not have it because it prevents people from just buying their way to technology or conquering their way to technology and making the need for your own scientific research kind of obsolete. But at the same time, I do kind of miss having it as a reward for conquest.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, we've always had the approach that we definitely didn't want it back in, and not only because you can take advantage of it, it also ended up being a micromanagement game that people would find themselves playing because you had to check all your trades all the time, see if anybody had anything new, if they had anything you wanted to, and it just kind of bogged things down artificially. So, we wanted to kind of remove that layer and put some more responsibility back into the players' hands instead of just constantly scouting out every AI to see what they had.
Yeah, and I was never wild about the whole, like, when you just go tech shopping, when you just take your latest tech and, like, go around every AI and grab everything you possibly could. And it was just, I don't know, it made almost like your research choices were less important, because if you just got ahead on one tree, you'd be able to go back and take the latest tech and grab everything else you kind of missed if you played it right.
Yeah, the strategy was just to find the tech that no one else had.
Although at the same time, I do find that you kind of still have that problem with luxury resource trades, because I have to go around and like get see what different people will give me for every time I want to trade something, and have they gotten anything I want yet, which is kind of that same micromanagey feel to it.
I agree. If there's an opportunity for us to eliminate that, the future, that would be a good place for us to go attack it.
May I make a suggestion there? Play armchair designer.
Sure.
Like, just let me just say, go into the particularly in a single player game, just let me go out there and say, hey, who will give me what for this, and let the AI bid on it.
And the other thing that we could do is have the AI be more aggressive about coming to you have it do the matchmaking there for you. Now that sort of takes some of the interest away from the player, but I think actually that might be worth it. The game's complex in terms of how much trading of different things is going on. It might be, at this point, it would be a good thing to have that kind of just come right to the player.
Yeah, it's just the shopping or having to shop around. It's like, what will Montezuma give me for this ivory? Okay, now Gandhi, what will you give me? Just having to go back and forth and figure out, and like once I find the best deal, then I have to go back and accept that one. There's a little bit of busy work that I think we could probably do without.
Oh, there we go.
Let's see. Rob, it sounds like you finally surmounted some obstacle.
No, just something finally came together. It was nice.
I finally got my trade routes maxed out and making a little bit of money. Like my game last night, though, I was making a ton of money. I was making like 150 gold per turn, just off a couple of trade routes, it seemed. What really determines the profitability of a trade route?
The biggest thing is the difference in local resources between the two cities. So if I have deer and iron and whales around my city, and there's another city that has 3 or 4 entirely different disjoint resources from that, then that's going to be a more profitable route. And then buildings add on to it. You build markets and other wonders like the East India Company like that, and those start adding on additional gold for everything that's hooked up to it. And then sea routes are always more profitable than land routes, and starting from a city on a river helps you out. So if you look at any trade route and just hover your mouse over it, there's a tooltip that gives you all the details.
And do you have any pro tips for establishing good trade routes, or is it just a matter of looking at the menu and saying, seeing which one has the best deal and which ones like you can actually protect that caravan?
Probably the pro tip is that there is a detailed trade route overview screen. So if you really want to get in depth, you have to remember that when you go to the menu on the left-hand side of the screen, that's just from the city you're at. It's possible there's a trade route that could originate in a different city in your empire that might actually be a better plan for you. But to know what all possible trade routes look like, that's when you have to go to the trade route overview.
How do I access that one? I haven't seen that one.
If you look in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that looks like a microphone for the chat panel. And just to the right of it is additional information. If you click on that,
here we go.
List of all the really detailed panels and the trade route overviews there.
Trade route overview, found it. Okay.
And then
that's useful.
The second tab on the trade route overview gives you all possible trade routes. And if you look at that screen, there's a column with a kind of two arrows pointing at each other, sort of making a loop on the far right column. Yep. If there's a number in that column, that's a trade route you've already put in play. So that's one. And this will tell you exactly how many more turns it's going to run for. So like I have one that says 22. That means it's going to be 20 turns before that one renews, and I can re-choose where it's going to go. But some of yours might be coming up for renewal sooner, and you can tell that there as well.
Right. That's good to know. Yeah, the design of Civ 5 is really interesting because it allows you to basically just keep pushing, next thing, and like kind of rely on automation a lot. But if you as you get better at it, it keeps kind of allowing you to dig deeper and really manipulate things and customize them just the way you want them. Which is a really excellent way of making it accessible to both new players and experienced people.
That's what we're going for.
So, that's such a tricky thing in 4X games too, because one of the things that drives me crazy, and this is across a lot of these different games, is just whenever you have a system that can be either auto-managed or looked over manually. But it's really easy for games to err on one side or the other. Like, if a system can just be auto-managed, it's almost like it doesn't exist in a meaningful sense at all. It was just better left to the AI. Right, but if it's something you have to look after because the AI governor will suck at it, then it's like, well, okay, now you've just given me this huge micro-managerial task list that I'm going to spend half my time worrying about. But really all it's doing is, it's making this marginal difference. Like, you're rolling a D100, and you're getting your input is changing the result by +1, +2. It could be significant. You can't ignore it, but you're not really. It's not a big enough decision to really be satisfying from a strategic angle. Something that I don't know. Something I feel like Space 4Xs sometimes suffer from. In particular, there's a gigantism that I think overtakes 4X games a lot.
Let's see. It occurs to me I threatened to build a settler a long time ago and never did because I saw something shiny and pretty. Let's do that. I'll build a settler later. Maybe I'll finally follow through on that.
God, I'm just rolling in dough here.
And then you just go on a big shopping spree and buy a bunch of buildings. I don't have to wait for that.
No, I got to save it for when one of these jerks tries to make a run at the World Congress.
You can just start bribing people. I accept bribes, Rob. I'll attack whoever you want.
I don't need to bribe you.
Or does he?
Oh, that's a way better trade route.
You're going through that trade menu, huh?
Yep. No, it was a route that's been running for a while. It reminded me that it's been running for a while, and I have a new choice. And guess what? There's a way better trade route available. That's what I love about the system. Is I didn't even think about it, but now it's offering me a slightly more pleasing menu.
Oh man, I took a chance on making a trade route that goes from Sao Paulo to Venice, and I hadn't really scouted out Venice at all. I knew where it was because we had diplomatic relations, I guess, but there was some unexplored territory there, and now that the route has gone by there once, it scouted out and a very narrow path, but it found a barbarian encampment right on the route. But they didn't kill it. So I've got a chance to get it. I've got a unit about ready to come out and take that out, I hope.
Well, we purposefully didn't make the barbarians really, really seek out your trade routes because that would get a little frustrating.
Well, this one came right to them, so I did not make it very difficult.
There was a real little cluster where all three of you guys were real near to each other. I'm noticing, and you've been very peaceful.
Yeah, no, there have been no fisticuffs just yet.
No, we're having a nice, pleasant coexistence over here.
For now.
For now. Right.
Gotta get somebody to say dun 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 when we say that. All right.
I'm questioning whether a steady diet of Negronis was the best way to play this game.
So let's see, the spies, you get new spies when you go up in when you age up, right? You go enter into a new era.
Yep.
All right. And I like that you can have spies as diplomats. That's a nice touch. That lets you influence the World Congress votes of the AI, right? How does that work in multiplayer?
In multiplayer, yeah, it's not going to be as effective, but because you're going to want to just like in this game, we could go to Napoleon or the Indonesians and do that. But yeah, you're not going to want to send a diplomat to. I'm not even sure if it lets you send a diplomat to a human player. Can't say that I've tried that.
Do the diplomats get to park wherever they want?
At least wherever you put them.
Oh, God, I didn't even notice you did that. Oh, God. Oh, Dennis, we got a problem here.
Is that a problem? That's not a problem.
No, it's a problem. It's a problem.
I'm telling
sorry.
you it's not a problem.
No, that's not cool. That's not cool, okay? You can't send Shylock across my territory and go bracket me with your cities.
Well, I don't really have a choice of where I put my cities. I kind of gotta just find a location and go with it.
All right. I understand. Nothing personal.
You should blame the city-state for where they put themselves.
Yeah, but I think that just traces back to Firaxis again, which in this case is you. So no dice. But no, it's cool. We can get past this. We're gonna enter counseling.
Think of it this way: I'm not taking up any more space than was already taken up before.
Yeah, but there was a good trade route I had going, and now it's less good.
Well, I'll connect more trade routes to you. I'm making you a bundle of money right now, just so you know.
Let me look at this here.
They are paying off.
That's quite a lot of money, actually. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Ooh.
See, that's what I mean.
Hang on.
I'm a good friend.
I think we just reenacted history a lot there. It's like you can't do that. Well, I'm paying, giving you some good money. Well, okay, then I guess you can do it. You have a point.
Venice is the new Switzerland.
Yeah.
We thought about adding Switzerland. Be kind of an interesting civilization to have one of these days.
There are quite a few civilizations you've got in here at this point. Like it's almost. And do you worry you're getting to the point where you've got just too many to choose from?
It's not necessarily. It's certainly at the point where if we had to choose to do another 9, it would definitely be getting to be a problem. So we put 9 into both of the last 2 expansions.
Yeah, because it's getting crowded.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
I
man.
just got intelligence from my spy in the Indonesian capital that the Indonesians are plotting against you, Dan.
That doesn't surprise me.
So watch your back.
Jakarta's over there, rubbing its hands together.
Yep, evidently they are.
I think I could take them. I guess they're climbing up the score ladder there, but I'm still beating Rob though and Napoleon, so I'm happy.
Where are you going with your pikemen? Don't know if I like that.
God, I just need to play this game more. I just need to play this game all the time.
I think Ed's invading me.
Very subtle invasion.
Right. Yeah, there it is.
Whoa!
And here I thought we were going to get along.
Oh, hey, come on, man. That's a trade route. You don't need to screw with that trade route.
Right, see, he's messing with everybody.
Oh, man.
We should know that the lead designer is going to play a game like this.
Oh, this is not right.
It's not cool, is it?
No. All right, fine. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm just going to...
we need to do something about that.
Yeah, I'm going for a passive culture victory.
That'll teach him.
Oh, yeah? Well, Paint's masterpiece.
Totally protected outposts everywhere across the map.
So I did see there was a mod that changes truffles into bacon.
Nice.
Way to go. Way to go, community.
That's the entire thing that the mod does?
Yeah, there's a dark irony, actually, to turning truffles into bacon, given that you use pigs to find truffles. And apparently...
Well, exactly,
apparently, in the world of that mod, the truffle farmers just decided they wanted a shorter route to deliciousness.
The icon here for truffles is the pig.
Okay. I'm going to do something.
Something must be done. It's decided.
What is to be done?
Let's see. Got some knights out there defending my trade route, cleaning up this town. I haven't seen you guys go for any wonders recently.
Yeah, they are.
Well, yeah, we had some naval battling going on.
Kinda.
I'm safely landlocked away from all of your naval stuff. You don't scare me with your ships. I do feel like I've got trade routes going to nearly every city around me. So if I attack, then all of a sudden, like my income is going to take a dive. So I've at least got to save up quite a bit before I make any bold moves. So I have my eye on a particular city here that's like, I could probably take that. But would it be a good idea or a bad idea?
If you're talking about Lisbon, it's a good idea.
I think it's time to go spread some lies. All right. So how I still don't have a coastal city, so I don't have any ships. I have no real concept of what this world looks like yet. Are we on like a Australia like continent, or what's going on here? Somebody fill me in on the bigger picture.
2 continents, and Yeah, you're sort of sandwiched between Indonesia, Morocco, and Venice. So I've got most of the world explored, but that's sort of Portugal's specialty. So.
All right. So, I'm going to make some bold moves here because, as it turns out, probably going to have to cut this a little bit short because we got ironically another historical grand strategy game coming in to show it off. But let's see what kind of action.
Too bold. Bold is bad.
I think
against Ed, and it's good.
It sounds like my attack was well timed then. Let's see. I can't get too far in my world conquest here that Dennis is going to hate me for a long time.
We're going to get just far enough to do the first Congress of Lisbon. Let's see.
Exactly what I expected Ed to do. It's just like him.
I guess I only get one vote for anything, huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
So who will pay me to vote which way? That's the question.
I've got 500 gold here.
Let's see.
Do I care enough?
I think I'm just gonna try and rain on somebody's parade. I'm gonna just vote against something. See how you like it. But yeah, I am very impressed with the stability here. Like at launch it was a bit shaky, and that kind of scared me away from it for a long time.
Bradley did an unbelievable amount of work. Pretty much the entire cycle of Brave New World was just committed to multiplayer for him. It was nice having a full-time multiplayer team on this one.
Yeah, but it was a little bit scary early on because it's like, I can sink a bunch of time into this game and it'll desync and it'll just die on me. But it seems pretty rock solid now. So I might have to devote a little bit more attention to this particular mode of play because I've got some friends I think that would be definitely into especially like an async game where you don't have to all be sitting there at the same time. We could probably have something going for months and be totally happy with that.
Now, see, Ed, embargoing Venice, really? That's what you're going to do now?
See, everyone will vote for that, too, because you have so many trade routes.
Yeah, and it's making a lot of people money.
Right.
You're just being mean now. This is what happens. This is why we can't have nice things.
We shouldn't call a time limit, too. That's just dangerous. The world gets wacky towards
I can do this too.
End state there.
So Dan, what historical strategy game are you leaving us for?
We've got Rome Total War 2 or Total War Rome 2 or
that's probably pretty cool.
War 2 or I forget which order the words go in now because they changed it. But all right.
And you have to be there for that?
They need the room.
Oh yeah.
So now that I got it all warmed up for him, I'm like, we're just gonna cash in on that. All right, so I have made a bold move as promised down here. I have invaded the territory of Mombasa, Dennis.
With a pikeman, a prophet, and a great general. I like it.
I've got more on the way. Like that, I was,
I have no doubt. No, all of my resources are sitting here up top in the north.
Yeah, I hadn't seen you
because Ed's being a pain in the butt.
Hadn't seen you doing much around Mombasa, so I figured probably ripe for the picking.
And right about now, this is about when we have to call it. So.
Well, I think it's probably a fair time to call it because.
Yes.
Like that city is going to be a tough nut to crack, I think. But there are no defending units here, are there?
You at least take the religion control there with your prophet.
Well, I spread some lies down there, so I think I would have some sympathizers. But anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time here. This has been a good time. Now, if we wanted to pick this up again later, we can save and rejoin, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, maybe we'll have the opportunity to do that and see what would happen to Mombasa here.
I'll go ahead and save this and make sure that I never lose this save game ever.
Now, can someone else save it to make sure that nothing goes wrong with the saving process?
Yeah, actually, anybody can save the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really see this working out super well for me in Mombasa, but I am
generally aren't the best offensive units.
Yeah, and I just got a cannon that I'm rolling out. He's on his way, but this knight is too wounded to really help out. Yeah, I like your odds, honestly. This was an ill-conceived attack, but anyway, this is Civilization V: Brave New World. We gave it a 9.4, which is an amazing score. It is, I think, Rob, you said it was the best Civilization expansion for any of the 5 games.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't always have. I have mixed feelings about certain other expansions. So, I mean, as expansions go, this is outstanding. But what I think is most important here is that it takes Civilization V, which was already, pretty excellent, and just makes it something really different and kind of new. I had a friend describe it sort of as it's now Civ 6 with Brave New World, and I kind of feel the same way. So yeah, I think as expansions go, this has been an incredibly generous one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the what's the name of the Civ 4 expansion?
Beyond the Sword.
Beyond the Sword, yes. It's kind of the Beyond the Sword moment for this game. Where like up to that point it was very good, but it hadn't really hit its stride. I think this is where it becomes a game that's fun to play all the way through, as opposed to kind of losing momentum late in the game where it's kind of a snowball thing and just kind of playing it out. This gives you something to really keep you busy all the way through and different paths to that victory. So I'm definitely going to be playing more of it. I mean, and I'm going to actually get one of my friends in who was very disappointed early on that there was no asynchronous multiplayer. He's going to be very happy that there now is. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Ed Beach, the lead designer, and Dennis Shirk, the publisher, and Rob Zachney, our reviewer.
The publisher? Producer.
Producer.
You just gave him a huge promotion.
I did, yeah.
Yes!
Pub, starts with
Dennis, XCOM 2, make it happen.
Done. Signing it now.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much again. And for more on Civilization V: Brave New World, check out IGN.
Thanks much.
Thank you.